Good afternoon, all. Thank you for joining us at this post-match presser with Chelsea Sharks Director of Rugby Neil Powell. I'll now open the floor for questions. I'm first going to start on the floor in the media centre and thereafter go to virtual questions. Thank you.
Neil, just your impressions on the game?
Yeah, I think a good turnaround from last weekend's game. So credit must go to the team for how they've actually turned it around. So obviously a bit of disappointment after that game against Scarlets, and the boys pulled together and realised that they need to be better. So I think from an attacking point of view, a great performance. We do set high standards to ourselves. So from a defensive perspective, that last 20 minutes conceding just the amount of tries that we did was disappointing, and we will have to fix it if we want to go further in this competition.
Half time, it was very tight, 17-14, and then sort of 30 minutes later, you're almost at 50. What was that down to? What was the talk at half time?
Yeah, I think again everybody was really positive after the first half. I think good chats at the halftime break. I think one of the things that we felt like we should do a little bit better, and the guys really acted on it. I think just level up on the energy again. I think that first 20 minutes in the first half, the energy was really good, and we really got dominance in all the contact areas, and we just basically asked him to do that again coming out in the second half. So and to be a little bit more clinical in our individual roles, we just missed one or two tackles, or maybe missed one or two aerial balls that we could have taken. And I think the guys really acted well on what was said at halftime and came out again with good energy levels.
Thank you. Are there any further questions on the floor? If not, we go straight to Ken.
We've got one more, Navash.
Okay, go ahead, followed by Ken.
Just wondering what Munster were doing well in that first half that caused you some problems.
Yeah, I think they've really done well to control the game. I think after we scored our second try, 17-10 up, they pinned us in our own half, and we couldn't get out of our own half. And I think with that pressure, we conceded in their second try. So yeah, they're a good team, and I think they are a team that will punish you if you're not clinical enough, especially in your own half. So we obviously knew that they are a good team when they get into your 22. It shows in their stats that they concede most of their opportunities when they get into their 22. And I think that's exactly what they did in the first half.
Yeah, obviously you turned it around in that third quarter. What did you see what sort of gaps did you see that you could exploit there at half time?
Yeah, I think again it was just for us on more on what we need to do and what we need to focus on. I think like I said, we felt like we lost a bit of energy in that second quarter. We need to pick up the energy again in that third quarter, starting of the second half, and I think the guys have really done well to do that.
Ken, go ahead, followed by Hamish.
Thanks, Navashni. Congratulations, Neil, on an excellent win. It seemed one of the really strong points of the Sharks today was almost a kind of swarming defense, that you put really a lot of pressure on Munster at source, at the base of the scrums, at the rucks, at the turnovers, and that led to a lot of turnover ball, which you guys used very well. You mentioned the number of tries you guys conceded, and a lot of those came from Munster finding space quite easily out wide. Is that kind of like the payoff that in terms of being so hard on the ball defensively, you kind of have to leave space out wide, or is it something that you can get both facets right?
Yeah, Ken, I think you basically answered the question with your last comment. I think it's something that we got to get right to put pressure on the ball, but also be better in our defensive width and how we defend out wide. So I do think we weren't good enough, and again we are really putting high standards, so setting the bar really high for ourselves in terms of our standards. And yeah, we'll have a look at it. Obviously, we needed this win, and we'll celebrate this win. But we got to look at our defense and how we can be better in our defense if we want to get through the next one as well. Because we all know Toulouse is a very good attacking team, and if defensively you're not going to be strong, then you will be in trouble. Or they're in the Bulls.
Percival, go ahead.
Thank you so much, Novasi. Goeiedag sê coach. Coach, kan ek net vanaf jou vra dat opsomming in Afrikaans tyd, hoe sal jy die wedstryd opsom wanneer jy het gister wel gesê dat die span, jy glo die span sal die vertoning omdraai en vandag het hulle presies dit gedoen. As jy tevrede met hoe hulle te werk gegaan het? En kan ek bevestig, sê jy nou vir my dat julle gaan Toulouse volgende te saamkom?
Nee, Toulouse en die Bulle moet nog speel, Percy, so ons moet nog wag vir die uitslag daar. So as dit is dat Toulouse wen, dan obviously Toulouse, of as die Bulle wen, dan speel ons Bulle by die huis. Dit gaan obviously nie maklik wees vir die Bulle om daar te wen nie, maar daar's altyd 'n kans in rugby. So ja, ek dink baie beter samespel deur die span. Ek dink baie beter pogings al buite, baie beter klinies in terme van elke individu se rol en verantwoordelikhede. Ek dink ons kan definitief nog beter wees in terme van die rolle en die efforts. En dan maar net teleurgesteld in daai laaste 20 minute dat ons soveel drieë, afgestaan het teen Munster. So ons sal definitief moet beter wees in die res van die toernooi as ons wil verder gaan.
Nee, hoe belangrik was dit vir julle gewees om so 'n goeie meer oortuigende vertoning vandag op te dis?
Ja, Piers, ek dink jy ken hierdie game en jy weet hoe belangrik momentum en flow is. Ek dink ons het dit verseker nie gekry laas naweek met die Scarlets wedstryd nie, en ek dink is moeilik, jy weet, as die helfte van jou span inkom nadat hulle 8 weke laas gespeel het, jy weet, so jy verwag dat daar 'n bietjie roes op is, jy verwag dat daar 'n bietjie minder samewerking sal wees in span samewerking. So so dit was goed om te sien dat ons 'n stap in die regte rigting gevat het en daar heelwat meer samewerking was in hierdie wedstryd. So hopelik kan ons nog 'n stapie hoër gaan wanneer ons die volgende wedstryd speel, die kwartfinale.
Ken, you can go ahead, followed by 2 further questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Tarashi. Neil, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think your Currie Cup side is playing right now. How difficult, just with your director of rugby hat on, how difficult has it been to manage URC Champions Cup and now Currie Cup all on at the same time?
Yeah, it is difficult, especially if they play the same day but in different locations. You obviously need to have a backup tight end, backup hooker, and a backup scrum half warming up with us here in the URC that actually could have played that game up in Johannesburg. So it is tough because you also need those guys in those Currie Cup games, and they need game time to get better. So we would have preferred if that Currie Cup game took place either yesterday or tomorrow, but unfortunately they weren't able to move that Currie Cup game to a different day. So it is tough. You obviously would always like to put your best team on the field, but because the 2 games are on the same day but in different locations, it just makes it impossible to do that.
Thank you. Hamish, followed by 1 further question.
You mentioned the next round against Toulouse or the Bulls. Toulouse obviously are masters in this competition. You and the Bulls are new to it. Just give a more in-depth assessment of what you face next.
Yeah, whichever team we're going to play, it's obviously not going to be easy. I think we all know that when you get into the knockout stages, you got to be a lot more accurate. I think there's less room for mistakes, and if you do make mistakes, the teams that you're playing against will punish you for it. So it is going to be difficult. This is the first year that we're part of it, so we try to create a bit of a hype and a culture around being part of the European Championship. Luckily, we have experience in our coaching staff. Yannick Brew, that was involved with Toulouse actually himself when they won the European Cup. And then also Noel McNamara, that was part of the academy in Leinster, that understand how much emphasis those teams put on the European Championship Cup. So we've really tried to create a vibe and energy and almost a bit of a culture around this European Cup. But we know that the closer you're going to get to the final, the more difficult it's going to be, and you've got to be a lot more clinical and disciplined.
Thanks.
Thank you, Percival, and thereafter the presser will conclude. Thank you.
Thank you, Novasi. Novasi, I'm just going to repeat my Afrikaans question in English, Coach Neil, if it's fine with you. I was going to ask you again, why was it so important for you guys to put up such a good performance, especially in the fact that you guys have got quite a strong lineup, and there's always a lot of expectations from the Sharks with all that Springboks in that side, and heading into the rest of the competition.
Yeah, I think after a long break with not having the box, it was important for us to get that cohesion and synergy in a squad. And we knew last weekend with the Scarlets game that we didn't have that, but I feel like we did take a step in the right direction in terms of that in this game against Munster. So it is important when you get into the knockout stages to get to take that momentum and flow into the next game. So it was obviously important for us then to get that momentum and flow in this game. And then hopefully we can make a step up in those two areas going into the next weekend's quarterfinals.
Thank you very much, media, for your time. Thank you, Neil, for yours. The Munster presser will commence. Sorry?
Navash, we've got one. We just have one question from Mike on the floor.
Okay, Mike,
So
go
yeah.
ahead and then I'll conclude.
In terms of injuries, obviously Jaden looked like he got injured when he scored, and then Evan didn't come out at halftime. How are they looking?
Yeah, we'll obviously assess the injuries now after the game, the medical team, and we'll get clarity on the injuries. Emil van Heerden also picked up a shoulder injury, which put us in a difficult spot, having two locks injured. So we'll assess them, see if they will recover in time for next weekend's game. And if not, then it's an opportunity for the next guy to come in and put his hand up. So we hope they will be fine. They're big players for us in the team, but again, that's why you have a squad, and that's why you need to work the squad in this competition.
Thank you very much. Thank you all. Munster presser will commence in 2 minutes.